My first question about Killer Be Killed is, can you tell me how did you go about forming the band?
Well, I knew Max Cavalera from playing shows together here and there, and we had done I had done a guest vocal for him on a record of his in like 2010, and when I did the guest vocal, we had a good time doing it, and we kind of got along really well with people, so we started kind of talking about the idea of how come people don't do full record collaborations together. Why do people only do a song? It would be so interesting if people would do whole albums. So we were like, fuck it, let's do a whole album together and just see what happens. And it really wasn't. We didn't go into it with the idea of starting a new band. We just went into it with the idea of having like doing like a full collaboration, of a record. But then once Troy got involved and the songs became a little bit different than we originally imagined, and then we went down a lot of different avenues, melodically that I don't think we thought we were going to go down originally. And now I think that we'll probably end up doing more. So, it's changed a little bit from maybe a one-off to something we may actually do again.
Okay. Let's talk about the band's name. There have been some speculations that the name is actually connected with Dillinger's latest album, One of Us is Killer. What can you tell me about that? There is a lyric, if I'm not wrong, saying, "But the killer won't survive" in one of the songs from the latest album.
I mean, that's correct. The Dillinger record was called "One of Us is the Killer," and I wrote the lyrics to that record kind of during a period of I had a lot of self-destruction kind of manifesting in my life, and I had a lot of unresolved tensions and motivations in my life that were kind of causing a lot of damage around me. And when you start playing aggressive music, and when you're playing in a band that's as aggressive as the Dillinger Escape Plan is, and as cathartic as the Dillinger Escape Plan is, that those motivations are coming from somewhere, and you keep releasing all this tension throughout the years, and you're beating the shit out of yourself when you play shows, and you're screaming, and but you're not getting to the root of it. And when you get off tour, those things keep manifesting themselves, in your life. When you don't have a show to play or a song to write, those things start to manifest in other ways. So I found myself in a position, around the end of 2012, where all those things were just really starting to cause a lot of damage to me, in my life, and manifesting in self-destructive ways. So One of Us is the Killer was a reference to realizing that you're your own worst enemy. You're your own. The thing that's destroying you is probably coming from within you. And then Killer Be Killed was written in the process of getting control over those things and understanding where they came from. And so Killer Be Killed is kind of a reference to not just finding those demons and becoming aware of them, but actually gaining control of them and destroying them.
So can you say that Killer Be Killed album and the whole project is actually something personal coming from your side?
Yeah, I mean, it was necessary for me to do. The Dillinger Escape Plan is a representation of, on my end, like I said, dissonance and tension and catharsis, and it's a very calculated, chaotic, brutal, technical band, and all the most of the motivation that goes into Dillinger Escape Plan songs is very kind of just it's a release of negative tension that I have in me, that I need to get out of me, and that Killer Be Killed was written, like I said, during a time period of me kind of fixing a lot of things that caused some of that tension, and I needed to write a record that wasn't as as violent and wasn't as negatively aggressive,
Okay. Recently, you premiered 2 tracks of the upcoming self-titled debut album. Have you thought before about the sound you want to go after with this band? Naturally, there are lots of elements coming from Mastodon, the Dillinger Escape Plan, Sepultura, and Soulfly in particular.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you go into something, you know, for me, like as a collaboration, like I wasn't really interested in trying to mash together elements of our pre-existing band. Like I didn't want to take like 10 seconds of a Dillinger Escape Plan song and then mix it with 10 seconds of a Mastodon song, and mix, you know, that's really like the dumbest possible thing. You know, that's the lowest common denominator that you could call like a collaboration. So we really just wanted to kind of forget that we had other bands and other success, and just try to write something, you know, from scratch. And you know, honestly, I for me artistically, the only point is to try to do something that stays away from the other band that I'm in. So I personally would rather have the band sound as little like Dillinger Escape Plan as possible, because I already do that. So what's the point? You know, what would be the point of you know, if you know, I just don't see the point in it. I already have that outlet for myself. I can already, you know, play in a brutal technical, you know, metal hardcore, you know, spaz out band. Like I don't need to put those elements in something new. So for me, I wasn't really interested in trying to blend our pre-existing bands together. I was just interested in the people that were in the room and trying to write something that sounded like its own thing.
These two songs that are premiered last week, they're actually opening the new album. What can we expect from the rest of the album?
I mean, the record's pretty diverse. You know, one of the things that really surprised me, and this has a lot to do with Troy, is that the record has a lot more melody, and the songs are a lot more, you know, kind of memorable, you know, melodically than we thought they were going to be going into it. You know, when Max and I first started this, we thought we were going to write Nail Bomb Part 2. You know, we thought we were going to just do like a really aggressive, screamy, hardcore crossover, you know, thrash type record. And you know, when Troy came in, you know, he brings a certain element of melodic playing with his bass, and you know, a slower element to his songwriting, and his, you know, Mastodon songs have gotten a lot more structured, you know, over the years, and you know, they started out like a kind of like a proggy doom, you know, band, and now they're you know, a proggy sludge band, and now they're like a heavy Queens of the Stone Age or something, you know. So like he brought all that evolution with him. So when he came in and they started playing bass and started singing over parts that originally we thought were only going to be screaming, it really opened everything up. So we ended up hitting a pretty wide range of moods and dynamics on the record that originally we thought were going to be only aggressive.
Okay, so we can agree that definitely that Killer Be Killed is a hybrid of different music styles. So how did you go about channeling these different music elements into writing during the writing process?
I mean, we really don't think too much when we write. You know, I think that for me, like writing is not a very cerebral process. It's for me, like I just, you know, write whatever I feel. And when something feels right, you know it. You know, it resonates through you, and it, you know, like something either feels good or it doesn't. And the best thing in the world is when you're writing with other people and the same thing feels good to everybody, you know, at the same time. So you know, we didn't really think too much about, hey, we need to write this style, or hey, we need to write that style. We just, you know, kind of put everybody in the room until something happened that everyone, you know, felt good with.
So how did the creative process of the album go? I mean, comparing with your approaches, how did you do, for example, with Dillinger Escape Plan, or how Max did with Soulfly and Troy with Mastodon? Is there some differences? Are there any differences, you know, in your approach for this?
Oh yeah, for sure. For me, you know, Dillinger Escape Plan, you know, requires me to get to a much darker headspace, you know, just because a lot of times the music is very violent. The music is very aggressive and violent, so I have to, you know, get to a different place mentally, you know, to write that kind of stuff, you know, because it's so aggressive. And this music is not as violent, it's not as aggressive, you know, it's not as cathartic. So I didn't, you know, I don't have to dig so far into negativity, you know, and in the band. So instead of being responsible for recording, all of the vocals, I was, watching two other people record vocals, and I had to try to figure out how to, make my vocals fit with theirs, and which ended up being the most fun part of the whole process was trading, vocals with Troy and Max.
Okay. Reading the song titles, there seem to be quite wide theme spectre on the album. Can you give me a snapshot of the topics you explore on Killer Be Killed?
Well, Max, for the most part, when he writes, will usually write from some sort of socio-political, commentary background. So, if he usually will write about, some type of oppression or something that he sees, or, he'll write about police brutality, or he'll write about, some type of injustice that he sees. So he's very topical, and for me, I write very autobiographical. So most of the time when I write, it's pertaining, to something that's happening in my life at the time. The thing about writing with two other people is that you have to find a common theme, within every song, and what is it that we all have in common, even though we have different backgrounds and we come from different bands, and what is the one thing that we all have in common, and the one thing that we kept coming back to was that we had all at some point in time hit some sort of personal bottom and had to pull ourselves out of it. So like I said, even with the title Killer Be Killed, there's a lot of references on the record to conquering your demons, and I feel like at some point in time, whether it's because of addiction or bad habits or like I said, self-destructive tendencies, all three of us have found ourselves in positions in life where we had hit some sort of a bottom and had to pull ourselves out of it. So that was the thing that we found, the common denominator between the three of us that we can relate to. So a lot of the songs, end up relating to, like I said, overcoming some sort of personal demon.
Okay. What is the connection between the music presented on the record and the album art?
Well, the album art, I wanted to do like a nod to bands like Discharge. If you look at the old Discharge album covers, the name always went up the side. It was always black and white. Like, I always really liked that aesthetic. Obviously the faces of the same person, happening three times on the front is kind of a reference to the three singers in the band, and the nature of each song, having all three of us on every song, is somewhat of a schizophrenic vibe, but it's also a reference to the name, Killer Be Killed, of getting, like I said, killing your own demons. There's multiple facets of every person. There's multiple sides to every person, and some of those sides, aren't good, and then you have to, make sure you keep those under control.
Okay. Can you tell me what were some of the biggest challenges you faced when writing Killer Be Killed? I would love to know something in particular about the technical side of the album.
One of the biggest challenge was getting us all in the same place at the same time. Finding times that we could actually get together. Logistically, it was kind of a nightmare. And that was the biggest challenge. Getting us just in the room, getting a month of time that we could all be in the room at the same time, was the biggest challenge. But on the technical side, besides that, knowing that we had to move very quickly because we only had that small amount of time, meant that we needed to get drum tones and guitar tones and bass tones, very quickly. And that's where having a producer, like Josh Wilbur, really helped, because not only is he really good with time management, and he's really good with, understanding how to get what you're talking to him about. He understands how to get that sound very quickly. So if I'm trying to explain to him a drum sound or a guitar sound, he knows how to get it.
Yeah. On the other side, what evolution do you feel Killer Be Killed represents comparing to everything else what you guys did before with your main bands?
I don't necessarily consider it. To me, it's part of my personal evolution as a singer and as an artist to stimulate myself by collaborating with new people and extension of the Dillinger Escape Plan. It's just a different thing that allows me to express myself and grow in a different way than I do in Dillinger. So I think part of the bad thing about super groups, when people say super groups, is they expect the band to be an extension of the bands that the other members are a part of. And for me, I don't really see it as a extension of Dillinger so much. It's just more of an extension of myself.
How did your work with the Dillinger, and the connection of other members with their main bands inspire or influence what is to be this Killer Be Killed album?
Like I said, I don't really know if anything in Dillinger really has anything to do with this record. It's kind of to me like its own thing. Like I don't think of them as being connected. I think I leave a piece of myself in Dillinger, and I've left a piece of myself in this. But I think I don't necessarily know if there's a connection for me musically between the two.
Okay, but from the other side, do you consider Killer Be Killed being some sort of escape from Dillinger or the other bands you guys are in?
No, I don't think of it as an escape. I just think of it as another outlet. I write music all the time. I wish I could record another record right now. We just tracked a new Dillinger song. We just released a new Dillinger song, or we recorded it. We're going to release that in like a month too. I just have nonstop. I want to create. That's what I do. So I feel like and a lot of the stuff that you write and a lot of stuff you want to do doesn't. You can't fit that in one thing. So a lot of the stuff may not fit into the Dillinger Escape Plan, and then when you have enough of it, you have to release it as something else. So to me, it's not an escape. It's just something. It's just another outlet for things that don't belong in Dillinger.
Okay, maybe it's early to talk about that, but do you think that Killer Be Killed has potential to become a full-time band? I'm asking it because in the past the collaborations of such genre orientations always ended up as one of things, but with Killer Be Killed it kind of feels the other way. So I want to hear from you, is there a possibility to make another album and to become a full-time band with Killer Be Killed?
Yeah, obviously we're not going to be full-time in the way that like Dillinger and Mastodon will be, because we already have schedules that are very grueling, with those bands. But we already talked about making another record or an EP or releasing new music. We started this off thinking that it was going to be a one-off, and now that I've listened back to it, there's a lot of different avenues and kind of areas that I want to explore a little bit closer. So I think that. On my end, at least, I definitely want to do another record, I definitely want to write more. So I don't think this will be a one-off. I'm not sure how long it'll take us, because of the scheduling to do more. But I'm pretty sure that we'll do another one.
Okay, and do you think that Killer Be Killed should serve as a template for the other musicians on the scene to socialize and start similar collaborations?
Yeah, that's my goal. That's what I really want to see happen. Is more people take themselves out of their comfort zone and take a risk. It's enjoyable for people to see. It's enjoyable for the fans, and it's good for creativity for people to collaborate more often. Yeah, I would love to see different people from different bands kind of either start new bands or put one-offs out, or just to see what happens when these different people work together.
Mm-hmm. Are there any plans for touring this year with Killer Be Killed?
We're looking at playing shows, but we can't figure out a time period when we're all free yet. So we've had to turn down a lot of offers just because of previous scheduling commitments. But we'll figure it out. It's definitely going to happen. I don't know when, and I don't know where.
Okay, and what does the Dillinger Escape Plan have in the pipeline for the rest of the year?
We just recorded a new song. We're going to put that out in like 2 weeks, actually. We're going to self-release it. And then we're going on tour in the U.S. in 2 weeks. And then we're doing European dates in June and July. So we're staying busy.
Okay, so now with Dillinger and the Killer Be Killed, you're going to have quite a busy schedule for the rest of the year. Anyway, is there something else in your pipeline, something in the works?
Yeah, I've got a couple other, kind of musical things going on outside of those two bands too. I've got another thing that I'm working on called The Black Queen, which is a lot more melodic, and it's not even rock or metal based at all. So I'm working on that with this guy Joshua Eustace. We've been working on that for a couple of years now, and we're starting to get close to finishing that up. And I've got some other ideas of things that I want to do too, but for right now, kind of all that is on hold, just because I'm so busy with the Killer Be Killed record and the Dillinger record, and we're getting ready to go do, like I said, more Dillinger tour dates. So I got to come home in August and see where my head is.
Okay, so my last question is actually a general one. How do you see the metal scene today? Is there something that you think should change?
Yeah, I think people, should just be a little bit more willing to step outside of their comfort zones. That's kind of really all I see as the, and not to worry about social media so much. People care more about getting their band known than they do about art. I would say let's just get back to caring about the artistic side of it and